All right, let's talk about a word we all think we know, worship. Now, what if I told you that its original meaning has almost nothing to do with what we think of today? According to the source material we're looking at, it had way more to do with your job and your government than with singing songs. Kind of surprising, right? So, here's our game plan for this deep dive. We're going to start with what worship means to us right now. Then we'll go way back to uncover its ancient roots. After that, we'll explore this pretty radical idea of worship as service, look at what the source calls pure versus worldly religion, and then wrap it all up with what this means for the ultimate act of faith. Okay, so let's start on familiar ground. When I say the word worship, what immediately pops into your head? For most of us, it conjures up some very specific images and, more importantly, feelings. Yeah, this dictionary definition pretty much nails our modern take on it. Look at the key words: feeling, reverence, adoration. It's all about an internal emotional state. It's something that happens inside of you. Let's call this our starting point. And these are the things we do to express that feeling, right? Singing, praying, going to ceremonies, it's all part of the package. But here's the big question the source material puts on the table. Is this really it? Is this the whole picture? Or have we maybe lost the original plot entirely? So now, let's get in our time machine. We're going to dig into the history of the word and see what it actually meant to the people who first wrote these texts down. And spoiler alert, it is a world away from what we just talked about. And boom, here it is. This chart just lays it all out. The meaning has literally flipped on its head. What used to be about an external action, a duty, even a form of political submission, is now seen almost exclusively as an internal emotion. It's a huge shift from what you do to how you feel. Okay, so check this out. The main Greek word for worship in the New Testament is proskuneo, and its literal meaning is, well, it's intense. It means to kiss toward, like a dog licking its master's hand. That's not a warm, fuzzy feeling. That is a straight-up physical act of acknowledging who's boss. It's about rank. And it doesn't stop there. There's another key Greek word, latreia, which also gets translated as worship. But its roots, they're in words for hired labor and service. It directly connects worship to your job, to the work you perform for a master. And if we hop over to the Old Testament, the main Hebrew word shakha tells the exact same story. It means to literally bow down, to prostrate yourself before a superior. Once again, it is all about action, a physical posture showing you submit to a higher authority. Now, the text we're looking at really zeroes in on this verse, where Jesus himself uses both of these ideas together. He says, you shall proskuneo, show homage, and you shall latrio, serve. He pairs them. The message seems to be that they are a package deal. You can't have one without the other. So, if worship is really about action and service, what does that actually look like today? Well, the implications are pretty massive. And this is where the analysis starts to really challenge our modern worldviews on things like work and government. You see, if we accept this definition, it forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. In our daily lives, our jobs, the taxes we pay, the systems we're part of, who or what is actually getting our service, our latreia? The source makes this fascinating historical point. Back then, if you were building a pyramid for Pharaoh or a road for Caesar, that labor, that service, was understood as a form of worship. By working for the ruler, you were paying them homage and acknowledging their power over you. So the whole point here, the big takeaway, is that both worship and religion were originally action words. It wasn't about what you believed in your mind or felt in your heart. It was about what you did. It was about being a doer of the word, not just someone who listened to it. All right, so if worship is all about the action of serving, the source material then says there are two totally different ways to serve in this world, and it presents them as two competing types of religion. First up, you've got what the Bible calls pure religion, and it's defined very practically. It's actively taking care of the most vulnerable people, orphans, widows, through your own voluntary charity. And, this is key, doing it while staying separate from the systems of the world. And here's where the source draws a really sharp line in the sand. On one side, you have pure religion. It's all about voluntary love and free will offerings, what it calls the perfect law of liberty. But on the other side, you have the world. It describes this as systems of authority that use force. The source calls things like state-run welfare legal charity and argues that it works through covetous practices. That is, taking from one person to give to another. And it says this is all done in service to rulers who like to call themselves benefactors. To illustrate the danger of relying on these worldly systems, the analysis brings up this proverb about eating with a ruler. It's a warning. Don't get hooked on the benefits, the dainties, that these rulers offer. Why? Because it's called deceitful meat. It's a trap that gets you entangled in their system of forced service and control. Okay, let's pull all these threads together for our final section. If worship isn't just a fleeting feeling, but a life of active service, then what is the ultimate expression of it, according to these texts? The source material presents this verse as the final, definitive statement on the whole thing. It doesn't matter if you say all the right words, if you call out Lord, Lord. The entry ticket to the kingdom is for the one who does the will of the Father. Action is the only thing that actually counts in the end. So the path to what the source defines as true worship isn't just a Sunday morning activity, it's a whole way of life. It's laid out here as a 4-step process. You seek a different kind of government, you love your neighbor through your actions, you take care of the needy yourself through voluntary charity, and you try to live free from these worldly systems of control. And that really just leaves us with this one final powerful question that the source material wants us to ask ourselves. After going on this journey, we have to look at our own lives and ask, is my worship just a feeling I get sometimes? Or is it the sum total of my everyday actions in service? And that's our look into the surprising original meaning of worship. If this gave you something to think about, do us a favor and hit that like button. Share it with someone else who loves this kind of stuff, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives. Thanks for hanging out.